Brother lads, welcome back to Cossy podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. We're going to be diving into the latest around Arsenal. In particular, we're diving into the Declan Rice saga. Manchester City did make a bid. Manchester City's bid was rejected by West Ham. We're going to be diving into Arsenal's third bid that is now being thought to be the last one of the lot, to be the one that will sign Declan Rice. Arsenal still very much in the race. Manchester City now very much in the race as well. And it is now believed that both clubs will feel £100 million for Declan Rice is an overpay. We're going to be diving into much of this, especially on the perspective of West Ham. They are absolutely getting whatever they wanted. A bidding war is already on. Arsenal's bid has been matched by Manchester City, £90 million officially in by Manchester City, officially out by West Ham. They've also rejected that one. How much is Arsenal going to bid once again? And should Arsenal go up to 100 million for Declan Rice? I'm just convinced now that we should not. If Moises Caicedo is still around for 80-90 million, Arsenal should not overpay for Declan Rice. I'm calling it, and I'm calling it right in this show. Hit the like button. Let's get this one to 500. Thank you so much for subscribing. We are there at 70,000 subscribers. It massively means a lot to me. But of course, the saga goes on. Declan Rice and Arsenal, Declan Rice and Manchester City. He's flirting with everyone. He loves Arsenal, prefers Arsenal, would not love to betray the conscience, or his conscience, by going to Manchester City after agreeing a deal with Arsenal. But will Arsenal agree a deal with Manchester City? That is the big question. Now, this early morning, as I woke up, I looked at a couple of stories, obviously, on my timeline. But the biggest one was from David Ornstein, who had actually just confirmed that West Ham have turned down Manchester City's offer for Declan Rice. Interesting, because by the time I went to bed, Manchester City had actually not bid for Declan Rice yet. So he says as well that Manchester City made a formal proposal last night worth 80 plus 10 million in add-ons. West Ham unimpressed and quickly rejected it. Arsenal have seen two bids rebuffed, but remain determined to sign the 24-year-old, according to The Athletic. That is where we are. That is where we are at the moment. It looks like Arsenal are still there and Manchester City are officially in there as well. Now, according to Jacob Steinberg as well this morning, it also says that Declan Rice is waiting patiently for Arsenal to raise their bid for him after West Ham rejected Manchester City's opening bid offer for 90 million. Arsenal are also preparing to lodge a bid, which will be the third for Rice, and are likely to need to meet West Ham's valuation of 100 million pounds. Interesting. That is where we are right about now. Manchester City, congratulations on their first bid. They also did come in with one. And of course, as I thought when I looked at the story this morning, that they had actually bid, I knew the next story was going to be it was rejected. Now, the offer, let's dive into the offer first, right? Their offer is not very, very different or dissimilar from Arsenal's. What they've done is they have offered 80 million in terms of guaranteed payments. That is 5 more than Arsenal, than what Arsenal were offering in guaranteed payments, because Arsenal's last offer had 75 million fixed or guaranteed payments. Now they've offered 10 million in terms of add-ons. That is 5 million less than what Arsenal offered, in terms of add-ons, right? So that is where the difference. Now, I've also seen a few other journalists, but I really do love Tom Canton at Football Daily. I trust him. You look at his blog at the Guna Talk on YouTube, he's actually doing very good work. And he was saying that the difference between the bid Arsenal put in and the bid Manchester City put in is Manchester City will be looking to get clearer terms for West Ham, especially in terms of add-ons. They will be trying to pay the money, much of the money up front, or a bigger part, not much of the money really, but a bigger part up front as compared to Arsenal, and they would also be trying to pay within a shorter period of time. Now, I disagree with that because the bid was made yesterday night, and it was rejected today morning. I don't think there was enough time for us to get into the details of that bid. And it was reported by Ben Jacobs that West Ham were really interested in how much money is going to be paid up front and how much money is going to be paid is going to be paid in installments, right? And add-ons. And if Manchester City had gone in with a good bid, I don't think West Ham were going to turn it down. So why have they turned the bid down? And why does this mean that Arsenal, for me, no longer stand a big chance in signing Declan Rice? Not because of Manchester City, but because of the demands of West Ham Football Club. One, if you have rejected 90 million and you're West Ham, that is not 80 plus 10 in add-ons. It means one or two things. It means one, you're absolutely sure and confident Manchester City will come back. And the fact that Manchester City have come in with an initial offer of just 90 million as your initial offer, right? It literally means that their next offer is going to be close to 100. Just like what Arsenal did. We went in with 80 million, but then the second bid was 10 million more, right? Maybe it was disguised in add-ons that couldn't be achievable and things like that. But you get the point. If Arsenal went in with 80 plus 10, right, for the second offer, it means Manchester City will go with 90 plus 10, as simple as that. And I think West Ham here are really, really jubilating. David Sullivan is really jubilating because he has just hit the jackpot in terms of being the best salesman 2023. I think, listen, if Borussia Dortmund had done this with Jude Bellingham, they would have got something like 150 million euros, right? Because we know Madrid do not overpay for. Okay, at times they do overpay, but I think they are cautious in terms of spending money these days, right? They do spend huge amounts of money on players, but they're really, really cautious. And if Liverpool had gone in with 100 million and Madrid had gone in with 110 and Manchester City had gone in with 130 and Dortmund were willing to sustain a bidding war for quite some time, I'm sure Bellingham is a much more valuable player than Declan Rice. And David Sullivan is looking at the situation and is going, the two best midfielders in terms of CDM, one is Jude Bellingham is off the market, and this is a very big point for West Ham because the fact that Jude is off the market, I think Madrid have paid around 88 million pounds because in the end it's a 103 million euro deal. So I think Madrid have paid around 88 million pounds. Just imagine, right? Just imagine 88 million to Real Madrid. Declan Rice remains as the only big prize midfielder on the market. Like, forget the likes of Amrabat, forget all these other players. Rice is now looked at as the only big prize midfielder any club could sign, and West Ham know that, and they're trying to drive a lot of traffic. They're trying to drive a lot of traffic using that using that that ability. So Manchester City, will they come back again? Yes, they will come back again. I've seen Jacob Steinbach here writing that Pep Guardiola believes the player is such a quality player that he sees him as a replacement of Ilkay Gundogan at Manchester City, and they will try to get him. They will try to sign him, whatever comes. So I don't think this is a bidding war that Arsenal can sustain anymore. And I'm serious. I don't think we can sustain this anymore. I don't think David Sullivan is sitting there in his chair saying, if Arsenal come in with a third bid, this is over. That is not what he's thinking. He's thinking, Arsenal come in with a third bid, Manchester City come in with a second. Manchester City come in with a second, Man United come in with an initial offer, right? So for me, this is the truth. Arsenal will bid again. There's no question about that. And now, we are bidding again under different circumstances. We are no longer the only team in the room raising one hand and raising one hand again. We are now the second team in the room, and we are now the underdogs. We have always been the underdogs to Manchester City, whatever situation it has always been. So if Arsenal believe the player is a 100 million pound player, let us see Arsenal go with 100 million pounds straight onto the table and sign the player. And I'm telling you this, I don't think Declan Rice is a 100 million pound player. I don't think Arsenal think he's a 100 million pound player, and I don't think Manchester City think he's a 100 million pound player. But it is highly likely that he will sign for 100 million pounds for another club. One, because of the market, the premium. West Ham don't have to sell. That's a lie. They do have to sell. I think, it's been created in the media that they don't have to sell, but they really have to sell. But I think Arsenal have always never been, pushed into buying a player for a certain fee that they feel he is not worth of it. It's the same thing with Mikhail Modric. Arsenal never thought he was 100 million euros, and they walked away, right? Chelsea bullied us into walking away, and we walked away. We didn't bid again. So for me, I think Arsenal will go in with around 92 to 95 million pounds. West Ham will reject our third bid, and it will be game over. Arsenal will walk away, and he will go to Manchester City in a deal that will see them pay between 95 to 100 million pounds. The one thing that doesn't make any sense, in my opinion, here is they want 100 million. Like, they need it to be 100 million. It doesn't matter the terms and conditions of the deal. It doesn't matter how good the deal is at 80 or 90. They want that mark that we sold the player at 100 million pounds. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And we are in a market where 100 million pound players are not even sold at 100 million pounds, and 40 million pound players, 50 million pound players are being, taxed at 100 million pounds. Because for me, Declan Rice is such a 40, 50 million pound player. I'm telling you. And this is the alternative. I think Arsenal do have the alternative. Yes, Moises Caicedo has argued personal terms with Chelsea. That seemingly is a deal that is moving on. How about we move in for Moises Caicedo, because we already have him on our shortlist. He's a player that we have looked at. He's a player that Arsenal are prepared to go for. Moises Caicedo would set Arsenal back around 85 million pounds. Go and get that deal done. There is not so much difference between Rice and Caicedo. The difference between the two is one is 24 and has won the UEFA Conference League, a title that has been that was created 2 weeks ago, and Moises Caicedo has not won, of course, anything, and he's 22. That is the difference. I think Moises Caicedo can be molded into what Declan Rice will be molded into, and all this nonsense and wastage of time that Arsenal just have to get Declan Rice. If it's not Rice, then it's nobody else. That has never worked for us. That has never been the case, right? How many players in the last few years have we signed as second alternatives, and they've turned out to be just as good? Alexander Zinchenko for Lisandro Martinez, he's been absolutely brilliant. Gabriel Jesus for Dusan Vlahovic, he's been absolutely brilliant as well. There's so many. Ramsdale, we wanted Onana first. Ramsdale was signed. He's been absolutely magnificent. Top draw goalkeeper now. So for me, moving for Moises Caicedo, let's just move over. Let's just roll on. I mean, don't waste time. Today is the 27th of June. We have another around 31 plus 3 days. And we have another 34 days before we get into serious football, right? After the 31st of July, Arsenal will have to play in the Emirates Cup. That is serious. I'm tired, and I hate it when Arsenal, don't win the Emirates Cup. So you have the Emirates Cup in August. You have the Community Shield in August, and we have our first games of the season in August as well. So we have 34 days to deal with this. If Rice is coming, let him make sure that West Ham are going to accept our next bid. If he's not coming, let us know that. Just send in a bid. Actually, what I want Arsenal to do is to go in with probably more improved terms, but the same bid as we actually took in the third bid, in the second bid. 75 million plus 20 million, right? In terms of add-ons, payable within 6 years. So West Ham will sit there knowing this is Arsenal's last bid. It is not changing from what they offered, which shows that we are, our next bid should be indicative of our position where we stand. Is he a 100 million player? No. Do Arsenal feel that he's a 100 million pound player? No. Do Manchester City think he's a 100 million pound player? No. Definitely. So if all the parties, apart from West Ham, feel he's not a 100 million pound player, why don't we let him stay there for another full year, and the next season, with 1 year left on his contract, he will be moving for free. He will be either left to move for free, or you sign him for 50 million, right? Of course, West Ham know that this is the advantage. This is the last time they can get the maximum amount of money on. But for me, with Moises Caicedo, there is no need for Arsenal to overpay. Absolutely no need. I've looked at this, and look. I think I could have done like 2 videos on this one. One, when they bid in the morning, I could have done that one. But I was waiting for West Ham's verdict. I was really waiting for West Ham's verdict. And the fact that they've turned it down, Arsenal just need to walk away. Like, this is becoming ridiculous. It's just becoming, when you want ransom, right? And you feel that ransom is too high, and then someone just pays it, and then you increase the ransom. That is what West Ham have done here. They've gone, as long as it's a very good deal, we will settle for 90. And both clubs, Arsenal and Manchester City, have come in with 90. And West Ham have said, whoa, wait a minute. We want 100 million. We want 100 million. So, for me, it's as simple as this. Whether 150 clubs are interested in Rice, if Arsenal believe he's not a 100 million pound player, we definitely should not put it on the shoulders of the player to burden him with such a price tag that in the first place, the club never thought he's worth. If Arsenal believe he's a 100 million pound player, our next bid will be 100 million pounds. So let's wait and see. If it is 100 million pounds, I'll be here to tell you. If it's 100 million pounds, let's move over to Moises Caicedo slowly, swiftly, because the money is there, and Caicedo is there, and Caicedo is 22. Caicedo is one of the best in the position. Like, we don't have anything to lose. I don't understand why everyone thinks we have anything to lose if we lose the Declan Rice deal. Okay, I think we have nothing to lose. Anyway, still prefers Arsenal. That would not like to betray his conscience by going to Manchester City, but by the look of things, Arsenal not yet sending in their third bid. So let's wait and see how much is that bid going to be, and will it come anyway? Because that's the big question as well with Arsenal. Will that third bid come? Because for me, 90 million from Manchester City could as well deter Arsenal from going in with another bid. Like, it could just deter us. It could just frustrate Arsenal. And they're like, why don't we look at the next person on this list? There is a lot of pressure already next season. We don't have time to waste on the market. See you very, very soon.